When did you become more popular than other detransitioners? How did that happen? Because I've started here. You're very articulate. You're very good at expressing yourself. And I thought to myself earlier that, Leo, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, you're a lioness, man. Like the Lord is going to use you to proclaim truth and light into a dark, hurting world. You're powerful, but in a beautiful, feminine way.
Thank you.
So when did you start to, I don't know, get noticed in this area?
It's so funny because when I first started speaking out publicly, I just like made an account on X, then known as Twitter, one day. And it was like an account that I initially used like for personal purposes. So I had like some like stupid stuff on there that like I retweeted or posted, just like my personal interest. And I decided one day I'm gonna start using this for a better purpose. It had like some stupid username on it. It was my first username was Pudding Pandan, which is like
Cool.
it's cute. It's like a Southeast Asian dessert.
Okay, yeah.
Pandan is it's like a plant that it sort of tastes like vaguely like vanilla and grass. It's used like in a lot of desserts from that area. But eventually I had like make a little rebrand because it's like that's kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not very memorable, especially like for the kind of thing that I'm doing. Yeah. So I just settled on like Chloe Cole was taken. So I just took a nickname that I had, Chu, put it together, Chu Cole.
Okay. All right.
And I didn't think it would, I didn't really know how far it was going to go. I was just going into it without any expectations really. Just hoping that like my story would reach anybody. Parents, other detransitioned people, maybe
Remind
some
me what
transgender.
year this is. Is this pre What Is a Woman?
I think like by a few months.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, this was 2021 or 2022, I think. So much has happened within just a few
amazing.
years, and it's so hard to keep up with. It feels like eons ago. It was, I think it was like March of 2022 that I started speaking on this account, and then it really started to ramp up. Like I started getting like thousands of followers over the next few weeks. I think like I was roughly about like 8,000 followers, and then JK Rowling followed me, and it was like,
that's wild. Did you read Harry Potter as a girl?
I actually never did. Like I watched the movies as a kid.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch them.
How wild. What was that like?
Read the book.
You came home and you just saw JK Rowling just started following you.
I remember showing my mom and dad and my brother like, JK Rowling followed me.
That's crazy.
And all of a sudden it was like all these people who I never thought I'd be talking to were like noticing me. It was such a strange feeling. I started having like reporters reaching out to me through DMs, covering my story, and like it just started to really go from there. And I was eventually this parent group by the name of Partners for Ethical Care. They reached out to me over X, and they were asking me like if I would be willing to speak in opposition of a bill in Louisiana that would basically enable what happened to me over there. I think it was like a conversion therapy bill or whatever, trying to like include gender identity in as or like anything other than affirmative, anything other than the affirmative model to be included in the definition of conversion therapy, which is dangerous. Obviously, California has the same law, and that's part of why I've gotten to the point that I'm at now, because there, by law, like no other options can be presented to kids like me. And at first, like they were just asking for a written testimony because it's a lot to ask a kid, a 17-year-old, to be flying out, you know. But I guess like they're like Louisiana has some stuff going on with their legislature that makes it kind of difficult to deal with. That's an understatement, really. Wow. But eventually like, it got to the point that like they weren't like accepting like Zoom call-ins or anything. So they asked me like, we know this is crazy, but would your parents be okay with you coming out to Louisiana to testify. And my heart said yes. I wanted to go all in on this. But my brain was like, there's no way mom and dad are saying yes to this. There's no way. And then I remember like bringing it up to them, and I was so upset that they said no. I was like, I remember going to my room and crying afterward because like, gosh, I want to do this so bad. And it means so much to me. But of course, like they could see that, but they also were so scared for me because like, I had detransitioned less than a year ago. Right. And like, I was still very, very immature in quite a few ways. I was still stunted emotionally and behind my peers in a lot of ways, and not in the most stable of states. And they didn't want me to potentially like put me in any precarious situations like that. But eventually, like it took some convincing, but they said yes, and thank God they said
Come
yes,
on.
because they saw like this is her chance to use what happened to her for a greater good.
Wow.
Thank God they
Indeed,
said yes.
Indeed.
And
So
a few weeks later, I was called out again to.
Did they fly with you?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Did it go well? Were you
Yeah,
nervous?
well, it didn't go well, unfortunately. Like I wasn't able to testify. Like we thought it was a loss at first because apparently they were only allowing one person on each side from public comment to testify.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to come in, but I was able to privately speak to some legislators. And I think I ended up making lifetime friends with Jeanette Cooper and of Partners for Ethical Care. She's I'd say out of like all the people who I've met in this movement, she's definitely one of my favorite women. I'm so thankful for her. I'm so thankful that she reached out to me.
Yeah.
And that just to know her, and just like seeing the fight that she's also putting up. But I was called out to Ohio to speak publicly, to testify publicly for the first time, because like obviously like the last time it didn't work out and I wasn't able to do it publicly. And I remember just how exciting that was. There were these like trans activists who were sitting in who were going to testify as well. One of them was sitting right in front of me, this big like 6-foot dude with his blazer on, his Protect Trans Kids heart t-shirt. He like yelled out at one of the representatives a few times. Actually, it was pretty chaotic. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but more than anything, it was exciting just to be a part of. I remember coming back. I was so nervous giving my testimony publicly that first time. And when I walked back, like I was so proud of myself. I was so happy that I finally did it. I found the courage to do it. And I fell down.
Then you felt dumb?
Yeah, I fell down.
I fell down.
The kid who was sitting in front of me with that shirt, he tripped me. And I didn't realize it at the time. But I thought at first, like I just like stumbled over to him, like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my.
And he was like, oh, it's okay. And I thought about it. And I realized, wait a minute. He stuck his foot out. He did it on purpose. And I was talking with some of my friends who were watching the live feed at the time. They were like, yeah, he was making faces at you the whole time.
Jerk.
He was really... Yeah, I could go on and on about all the crazy experiences I've had with people like chasing me down, or the threats that I've gotten. Those have been plentiful, of course. I mean, it's quite the journey that I've been on. But one thing that I was really shocked by actually was just how supportive people have been of me, especially with all the loss that I experienced in the years before. And just the transgender community, these people who I once saw as a family, people who I thought nurtured me, people who I wanted to nurture, who I loved, abandoning me. I never really expected all of the love and support that was to come for me as I started doing this work. The vast majority of people who I come across, who DM me, who I work with, who I tell my story to, they're very kind. They're very supportive, and it's as difficult as it is. It's not only the support and love of these people, but it's also just like seeing the fruits of the labor of this movement that I'm so thankful to be a part of. Just coming out in the past few years has been incredible.
Wow. Man, have you checked out Exodus 90 lately? If you've heard of Exodus 90 before, you're probably thinking of cold showers and Lent. But the Exodus 90 app offers so much more. It's a daily companion to help you grow closer to God and to become the man you want to be. This summer, I'm following along with the app's daily scriptures, reflections, and prayers. It's awesome. On the app, you can join the Enthronement to the Sacred Heart, the Exodus 90 Summer Book Club, and St. Michael's Lent, which starts August 15th and leads up to the Feast of St. Michael the Archangel on September 29th. St. Michael's Lent is an ancient tradition of prayer and fasting popularized by St. Francis in the Middle Ages that's been lost in our time. Let's bring it back. Join the men of Exodus 90 and Father Carlos Martins, Catholic priest, exorcist, and host of the Exorcist Files, who will serve as our spiritual guide for St. Michael's Lent this year on the Exodus 90 app. We will awaken to invisible realities and enter into the spiritual battle that rages around us all the time. Go to exodus90.com/Matt for a 14-day free trial to the Exodus 90 app and to learn more about St. Michael's Lent. That's exodus90.com/Matt to join us for St. Michael's Lent starting August 15.